Welcome to the SPSS tutorial video for descriptive statistics and comparison of means. In this video I will cover how to do some basic analyses in order to generate descriptive statistics, as well as how to compare means of different groups. Starting in this video, I will be using pre-made datasets instead of creating them during the video. If you have any questions about how these datasets were created, please review the previous introduction video. Before we look at any analyses, I want to tell you a bit about the data we're looking at. As you can see, we're in variable view in SPSS, and we have three variables in our dataset: math score, math major, and class standing. Class standing, you can see by examining the values, is a categorical variable where we have freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior participants. With the math major, we're asking, is the participant a math major or not, so our values correspond to 0 is no and 1 is yes. Our last score is a continuous score on some math exam. Now that you know a little bit about the variables, let's examine the data themselves. You can see that we have 24 participants. Each has a score on the math exam, 0 or 1 indicating whether they are a math major or not, as well as a 0, 1, 2, or 3 score indicating if they are freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior participants. Now that we've gone over the data, let's do some basic analyses. For example, let's suppose that I want to know the mean of the math exam itself. There are a variety of ways to go about this, but the most efficient way is to go to Analyze, hover over the Descriptive Statistics menu until you can highlight Descriptives. From here you'll see two text boxes. On the left side you'll see all the variables in our dataset. Depending on the version of SPSS you're using, sometimes you'll see the name of the variable itself here, other times you'll see the label for the variable. On the right you'll see all the variables included in the current analysis, which is now empty. To highlight a variable, click on it and select it to move over. Always make sure you look at the options menu to make sure that the descriptive statistics you want to include are available. You can choose to check or uncheck any of them, but for now the default options include the mean, standard deviation, minimum, and maximum for each variable. If we click OK, we'll see that a new box in SPSS comes up, a new window, where it has the descriptive statistics output. We can see, just as we did on the data view, that we have 24 participants. The lowest score on the math exam, or the minimum, was a 7. The highest score was a 98, and there's an average of 50.9 and a standard deviation of 26. Now this gives us some information about the overall, or the mean, math exam. But what if we wanted to know the breakdown in terms of how did math majors score and how did freshmen, sophomores compare to juniors and seniors? There are a number of statistical tests we can use that will be covered in later videos. There are a number of statistical tests that will be covered in more in depth. There are a number of statistical tests that can be used to answer these questions. We'll cover these in later videos, but for now I simply want to show you how to look at means by different groups. Again, from the Analyze menu, we'll look at Compare Means and Means. As before, instead of having one menu on the right, we'll have two. One for our dependent list, which in this case will be the score on our math exam, and we'll have both variables. The participants, are they math majors or not, and what is their academic standing for now. Always check your options to ensure that the mean is included. In this case it already is, so we'll continue. And we'll click OK. The first box that shows up in the output is a case processing summary, which tells us how many participants, if we had any missing data or not. In this case we don't, so we'll scroll down. And we'll focus particularly on the mean, separated on the mean math exam. And we'll focus instead on the mean math exam for whether someone is a math major or not. As you might expect, if someone is not a math major, they scored a mean of 44.9, but math majors scored higher than that, 56. Now we don't know if this difference is statistically significantly different yet or not. Again, that'll be covered in later videos for t-tests. For now though, we can also look at whether freshmen scored lower than sophomores, juniors, and seniors, as we might expect on this exam. Although this information on descriptive statistics and comparing means is relatively simple, we'll build upon this in subsequent videos learning how to test statistical differences across these groups.